Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Jerry Cuomo. I'm here in my Boca Raton private office. We're live on this Thursday and gorgeous day here in Florida. Uh, Enjoying the good weather in January. I'm going to go ahead and work now and show you how this implant case is going to go in today. We have two implant abutments and two implant crowns that are going to be cemented. This is Straumann, one of the implant companies. And we're going to have rinse that now. Those are called healing abutments. We're going to remove them first and then check the tissue. And teeth numbers are 29 and 30. That part. And a little bit of what that healing abutment looks like. It's got a nice taper to it, so it mimics that of a funnel, more or less. Now, we have custom abutments that are going in, so that's going to, the tissue may blanch a little bit, but before we do anything, we want to go in and clean. This case, I'm going to use peroxide because I see a little bit of dried uh, hemopoietic tissue, or a little bit of gingiva, maybe a little bit of tissue, or even a little bit of blood in there. So we're going to clean that out. We're going to use some peroxide for that, and I'm going to put it on a small little micro brush. Now, a lot about these are threaded implants, and threads are inside the implant fixture. We also do a lot of rescue cases in the office, so if there are issues with screw fractures, etc., are out there, we can actually take care of that without hurting the implant. So for those who need that type of service, feel free to give us a call. Alright, so right now I'm going to go in. This is just basically peroxide. I'm going to go in and just try to dissolve some of that. You can see it's on the inner lip a little bit. We'll dunk it again. And I'm going to just dunk my own, I think. Can I just dip my own here? Okay. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to let that do its magic, work its magic. Let it oxidize and dissolve. Alright, now I'm going to move on to the next one. Just distal to that, and we'll go ahead and have a little suction in there first. How you doing underneath, all right? Okay, awesome. All right, next step. It's in there. Okay. All right, next step is remove the distal. There we go. Again, that's identical to the one I just took out, funnel shape healing abutment. All right, so now I'm going to look down inside of this one, and we're going to use some microsuction first. Actually, I'm going to put the peroxide right over here if we can on my side with a, now this is called a microsuction tip. This is just going to be removing anything, any liquids inside the implant fixture. So the surgeon puts the fixture in, and we're doing the prosthetic, the tooth part. Okay. So again, a little bit of peroxide in there. Okay. There we go. Let's let that fizz up a little bit. Okay. Now we'll rinse it out. So that's a regular section. Alright, we're just going to drop in. And then we'll suck that out using our microsuction. So there's a lot of attention to detail. We go in and we really have to pay attention to the internal aspect of our implant fixture. Because during surgery, sometimes, you know, things get a little bloody, get a little messy, and things can go in there, and then it lodges. So I'm going to zoom in, and we'll just dry that off. And we want to be able to see the threads, so we look down in there, and I don't really see anything. That's the distal, this is the mesial one. And then we'll dry up. Remember what we saw before was a little bit of blood. Now it's all missing. Now it's all nice and clean. You can even read the serial number in there. Okay, so that's our level of care. Now, let's look at what's going to go in for the try-in. These are the two crowns. They've been already fit checked on the model. So this is model work with the gum tissue peeled away. So we were able to get that out of the way so that we can actually check the margins, the seat. The uniqueness about this case is they're individual, they're also cementable. The reason why we're cementing them because the implant and the bone have to go in the same place, right? So the distal implant went in sort of in the middle of the arch, but the other one, because of lack of bone, had to go more toward the lingual. So that's where the access hole is. And so what we decided to do is make it cementable, but we put something called a vent hole on the lingual. We did that on that side, on the premolar, and then of course on the molar. So you've got little vent holes. Then we'll plug those with composite when we're finished. The reason why they're in there is to allow pressure release so that when these get cemented in, none of the excessive cements will go down and be pushed down around the gum line and cause more problems for the implant. So that's our safety feature. Okay, so you got one there on the mesial lingual of the premolar, distal lingual of the molar, and they're actually placed in a very thick area of the porcelain. Set those aside. These are the abutments. They're gold coated so that they're very biocompatible, and they're also marked 29 and 30s. There's a little device for try-in, and that's a jig that's made digitally by the same company. So we're putting that in place and get ready for our try-in. So next step, I'm going to re-examine. See, now I just saw something on this one, screw heads. You can see in there there's something. So let's remove this. We'll take a brush of peroxide, and I'll go right on the model, and let's just see what that could be. It might be just a little smear layer of stone, and that's all it is. And now I'll just dry that. Okay, and then we'll run an Explorer in there. Just make sure there's nothing in there. I want to make sure it's not wax too or any other kind of products. Okay, we're good to go. That's all clear. Put our jig back in place. Yeah, the beauty of having a microscope is to things like that. You know, you want it to be perfect. You want it to be ready to go in the mouth without any hitches. So in we go. Now I'm going to unscrew each one. Leave the screws in there because they're going to be tightened to a certain level of precision. 35 newtons is where we want to go on these. And there's also a little device. This is strictly for transfer. You can see the angulation of these implants. Just gently bring them out. Let's see if they come out for try-in. Okay. So in this case, we're trying to relieve them out. That's very difficult because of the angulation. You see that. So tighten this down again. So here in this case, the jig may not be used. You might have to just put them in by hand, which is fine. Most of the time we have a jig. But because of the angulation of the implant themselves, the jig is the jig is up. So we'll put them in one at a time. So here's the first one. We'll loosen that one up. Again, these are pristine screws. Always get that with the case. And we're going to go gently one at a time. So we'll do microsuction first, and then place the first implant abutment. Do it on a distal. All right. So now we want to isolate the patient. So we're going to do a little bit of cotton now on both sides. I'll use a triangle next. So this is some cotton for the tongue. I'm going to raise your tongue up for me. Go to the left side now with your tongue. Yep. Perfect. Now just relax it. That's good. And then a triangle. So this takes care of moisture control. This is what we want to do. So if you're going to have your implant placed tomorrow, you can actually watch and see how this is done. It's kind of neat to do. All right. Here comes the first one. Okay. So there it goes. Now we'll get the driver. We have a gold instrument. So I'm going to steady it with one hand and tighten with the other. And now you're going to feel some pressure, okay? A little light pressure. And let me know when to stop, okay? Still okay? You can see how the tissue is blanching. The pink tissue now is white, and that'll return the color. We're almost hand tightened. It's just going down nicely. Cotton pliers. And another 2x2 gauze. And we're going to transfer the suction a little bit further on the right side of the tongue. Okay. Let's see if we can slide it over there. Yeah. Maybe right on the cotton would be good. Okay, so we're dealing with a lot of, the elements. Okay. Let's tighten here. And then we'll wait, let that blanching kind of dissipate a little bit. So what we're doing is we're slowly compressing the tissue and then seating the abutment slowly. Are you okay? All right. Are you tender at all? Does it hurt? No? Okay. 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 Yeah, it's now. Okay. We'll stop right there. Okay. Next step, work on the next one. So we'll get that out. And let's microsuction that one out first. So this is the mesial one, the one toward the front of the mouth. Get it all suctioned out. Perfect. You okay? A little coughing, all right. Okay, turn away from me. Thank you. Bring your chin down a little bit. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to wiggle this one in place like so. You can see the angle of that implant more toward the lingual. Again, surgeons know where to place these implants. Sometimes during surgery they have to go where the most bone is, and that's kind of what happened here. So we're compressing the tissue. We'll go back to the one behind it. Let's see if we can bring it down a little bit further. And that one's hand tightened completely now. So the distal one is fully seated. Bring your chin down, please. Thanks. I'm going to continue to work on the anterior abutment. Does that hurt at all? You're okay? Just raise your hand and I'll stop. Everything good? Okay, it's going down slowly. It's compressing as it does that. You'll see the blanching, see how the tissue turns a little white. Then I'll take a break in a little bit. Once it's down all the way, then we'll come back and show you how the crowns go in. All right, so this is Dr. Jerry Cuomo. I will catch you on the next clip. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching here in Boca Raton, Florida.